Hello everyone, so what I wanted to do today, what's all that about, I'm a bit Australian there. What I wanted to do is just show you what's on my Mac, because over the years I have collected, well, what I think are some pretty decent apps. Now I'm going to skip over the native applications because let's face it, what's Mail? You know, you're going to know what Mail is and all the usual Apple native applications. So what I'm going to do is probably just you talk about the ones that I enjoy using the most and probably use on an everyday basis, as opposed to ones that I've collected and just forgot to delete. Alright, so there's actually nothing on this page that I use on a day-to-day basis, so it's probably useless me having it. Okay, so on the next page there are some pretty good apps and some useful ones that I use on a day-to-day basis. So, starting off from the top left and going all the way down, sort of like a marble run game, if you remember those old games. So let's start off on the top, like I just said. Why did I say it again? So Daisy Disk. Daisy Disk is basically a way of seeing your entire Mac's hard drive and being able to map it in a graphic way. So it's easy to find files that are there that you might not find normally, and then be able to save space by deleting them, because half the time you don't even need them. Alright, so the next one is going to be, most probably my next one on the list is going to have to be Smart Converter. I use Smart Converter a hell of a lot, especially for these videos as well, as it happens, because there's nothing more annoying than creating a video, then realising that it's the actual format that it's in is not compatible with another program or YouTube. You know, you get the idea. So Smart Converter, what it will do, it will convert so many different types of file formats, whether it's music, audio, video. Well, music, audio, that's the same thing. But you know, you get the idea. So, next one. Wow, I love Spotify. Spotify, most people know what it is. It's been rolled out all over the world now. Well, at least Europe and America now. So, Spotify is a music streamer, and you get 20, I believe 20 hours of free music per month. After that, it's £5 for unlimited music, and then £10 for unlimited with some additional features. But to be honest with you, I somehow make the 20 hours last. Okay, so going further on, Transmission is an old torrent downloading client I used to use, but I don't use that one anymore. It's still a pretty decent one, but I had some problems with the permissions and it wasn't writing to the system very well. So I don't know if that's just me. It's definitely worth a try out if you're if you're in the market for a client. And next, well, this one I keep running all the time, TweetDeck. It's my preferred Twitter client of choice. I just prefer this one simply because the notifications are great, so I always know when someone's tweeted me. You know, it's not like it sneaks in a tweet and I don't realise that someone's tweeted, and then 10 hours later I go onto Twitter and someone's saying, "Why aren't you responding to me?" I don't have an excuse with TweetDeck because it just comes up on the screen. So, next of all, Skype. Well, what's Skype? Everyone knows what Skype is, really. You know, if you want to make free phone calls, video calls, Skype's the one for you. Now, Simulation. Now, Simulation is a folder that I created simply because I'm a bit of an aviation nut. I've always wanted to be a pilot my whole life, and until that day happens, I suppose I can use my Simulation folder for all the different types of simulation programs I have, such as X-Plane, and I did used to have some other simulators, but now it just purely have X-Plane. Okay, so Unreal X I kind of skipped out, but I should include that one because that can be quite useful. A lot of the time people, especially on torrent sites, they put things into a RAR format, and unfortunately the Mac doesn't understand RAR, so Unreal X is just a little unzipping application, and it really can come in use quite often. It automatically recognises the RAR files and automatically converts their logo into this logo here, so you know exactly what can be used with this application. Now, Xvideo Service Thief it's not illegal. Well, I suppose it isn't illegal really, even though the name might imply it. What Xvideo Service Thief is, and what it does, is it allows you to rip videos from YouTube and download them onto your Mac. I know a hell of a lot of people sort of don't know how to do that, and I've just always used that program. There are other programs out there, but that program is pretty darn good. Osmos is a nice relaxing game, and it's just a relaxing game. There's no other way to put it. You're basically a pathogen and you've got to eat up all the bacteria, but it's really relaxing with some chilled out music, sort of game you might want to play before going to bed. But if you're prone to nightmares and you're worried about the world ending with a virus, then I probably wouldn't play that just before you're about to go to bed. Google Chrome, an alright browser, is probably my third browser of choice. Touchscreen never used because I don't have a trackpad. You're probably wondering, well, why the hell have you got it anyway? Simply because at the time it was free. I don't know if it still is now, and I thought it was a good offer to pick up. Tank Battles, never use that. I might as well delete it. It's a terrible game. ScreenFlow 2, what I'm using to record this on now, one of the best screen recorders out there by far. Motion FX is just a little gimmick. It's like an addition to Photo Booth. You just got more you've got more effects and what have you. Google Earth, another one that I don't use and probably will delete. We all know what Google Earth is though. Handbrake. Handbrake is an excellent way, not just to convert, because I use Smart Converter for that really, but Handbrake is a great way of, say, having a file that's 5 gigs in space, say a video that's 5 gigs in space, and it will manage to compress it down to 900 megabytes, and the quality will still be exactly the same, or at least it won't be noticeably different to the human eye. ScreenFlow, that's the old ScreenFlow. I sometimes alternate between the two because ScreenFlow 2 has more features, but ScreenFlow is more compatible with some things, which is the why I have them both. Now Opera, I did skip over. Opera is my #1 preferred browser of choice, simply because it has a function in it called Opera Turbo. Now what Opera Turbo does is it compresses all the data that you receive from the web servers, so you actually end up over time saving quite a lot of space, especially if you haven't got sort of, mega fast speeds such as 50 megs down and what have you, and fibre optic, all this stuff, and it just kind of makes up that gap of speed, and it does speed up your overall internet speed. Speed! How many times can I say speed? A lot, apparently. So, now moving on to the last page. Twitter, that's the official Twitter client. I barely ever use that. QR encoder. I used to use this quite a lot. Now, if you want to create lots of links but don't want to have it in the standard link format, then you can create a QR code with this application. It's completely free, and it's free and it does the job well, so I can't really complain. Fast 5 is a game that's, well, it's a racing game, as you can see by the icon, based on the film or movie depending where you come from, and it's an alright game, but unfortunately you're going to have really high specs on your Mac. I mean, I'm running 4 gigs of RAM needed to upgrade, I know, but 4 gigs of RAM and a i3 processor, and it doesn't handle it too well, so just something to bear in mind if you're thinking about buying that or torrent downloading it. So resize it, just exactly what it says. You can resize pictures. Don't try and resize things to a bigger size, because half the time you're just going to get pixelated problems. Flush is something that many people don't know about because it's not on the App Store, and what Flush does is it allows you to remove flash cookies from your web browser, because flash cookies are separate from your usual cookies, and normally, as yummy as they can be, you're not going to be able to remove them just by going to cookies remove, through your normal browser. Sketchbook Copic Edition, that is just it's just a very, to be honest with you, boring painting / drawing application. You can't really do much on it. I don't even know why I've got that one either. Screeny is another, oh god, why am I starting to sound like I'm in a porn film now? I'm trying to think of what to describe it as. Screeny is another screen recorder, but it's a hell of a lot more basic. It was free, which is why I got it, but now I believe they've put it back to a cost. So if I were you, I would go for ScreenFlow by sure. Now let's go further on. MPlayer X, brilliant player for videos. It'll play all different types of formats. Use it all the time, and it is great. It's a brilliant video player. Spotify again. Don't know why that's there. That's just a temporary version probably. And uTorrent. uTorrent is now my preferred torrent downloader of choice. It's just got a great client. It's a great client, and it has a great user interface. Parallels Desktop. I do use Windows 7 sometimes, and Windows 7 is great to have running side by side on the Mac. Even with 4 gigs of space and only an i3 processor, it still handles pretty darn good. So Parallels Desktop, if you're thinking about having Windows at the same time, it's a great way to go. Also a great way to go is going to be to do the Boot Camp. They're both great things, but very quickly, if you want to use Parallel, if you want to use just a few applications on Windows, Parallels is a great way to go. If you want to use intensive applications or games, then you're going to need to use Boot Camp. That's pretty much the best way to explain which one to use. Windows 7 application, that is in conjunction with Parallels Desktop. You can just jump straight into this folder, and then you will be able to see all the different native Windows applications that will launch into Parallels Desktop. So going straight back, Real Racing 2, my all-time best, greatest game by far. Real Racing 2 is an amazing game for Mac. It might not have the best graphics, but it sure is fun. It's got a great multiplayer mode where there's always tons of people on there, and it is really a great game for racing. Racing? Really? Who would have thought it? So, next one is going to be nothing, because the next ones are just duplicates of previous applications. Gosh, I have a lot of Spotify temporary folders. Well everyone, that's it for this video. Hope you found my applications that I have rather interesting, because I think I have some pretty decent ones, to be honest with you, without me sounding like a complete know-it-all. But I don't know it all. If there's any other applications that you would like to, let me know about, I would really appreciate that. That's if you have actually found this video, because unfortunately I have only just started off this channel. So everyone, that's it again. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.